Up to 92%, according to some reports, up to 92% of people who are killed in the United States know their killer in some way. If there is more than one person involved, and I strongly suspect there is, what I am inclined to think is that the person we're seeing on the camera, as I've said in a few places, is sort of like the waiter, and behind the scenes there's some sort of chef.
Today marks a haunting milestone. It has been exactly 76 days since an 84-year-old woman, Nancy Guthrie, was forcibly taken from her residence in Tucson, Arizona. For 76 days, her family has lived in a nightmare. For 76 days, the community has lived in fear. And for 76 days, the person who targeted Nancy Guthrie has walked free. I hear your frustration. I read your emails asking why we aren't doing an update on Nancy Guthrie every single hour. The reality of investigative work is that while I am working on the Nancy Guthrie case behind the scenes every day, talking to sources and confirming leads, the process takes time. But today, we aren't just talking about theories. We are looking at the cold, hard data. We are joined by Dr. Gary Brucato, a forensic psychologist and expert on violent crime. His research into the Nancy Guthrie abduction changes everything we thought we knew. By using science and statistics, we can finally begin to see the true face of the individual who snatched Nancy Guthrie. When we look at a case like the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, our first instinct is to think of a boogeyman, a stranger lurking in the shadows. However, Dr. Brucato brings us back to the reality of criminal statistics. In the United States, up to 92% of female victims in cases of homicide or abduction actually know their offender. Let that sink in. Statistically, there is a 92% chance that the person who entered the home of Nancy Guthrie was someone she had seen before. This isn't just a number. It is a roadmap for the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's whereabouts. It suggests that Nancy Guthrie may have opened her door to this person. Perhaps it was a contractor who had worked on the house, or a local service provider who noticed that Nancy Guthrie was a vulnerable target. The comfort level shown by the suspect on the doorbell camera as he took Nancy Guthrie suggests a familiarity with the premises. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't panicked. He moved with a sense of purpose that indicates he knew exactly who Nancy Guthrie was and what the layout of the house looked like. Dr. Brucato breaks down the possible buckets of motivation for the Nancy Guthrie crime. First, we look at sexual motivation. Statistically, targeting an 84-year-old woman like Nancy Guthrie for a sexual offense is profoundly rare. It almost never happens unless it is part of a serial spree. Since there is no evidence of a serial offender in Tucson targeting the elderly, we can likely take that off the table. Then we look at robbery. Over 1 million financially driven crimes happen every year, but in the case of Nancy Guthrie, nothing of high value was taken from the home. If the goal was a quick score, why take Nancy Guthrie? If the goal was ransom, why has there been no proof of life for Nancy Guthrie in 76 days? Dr. Brucato explains that in a standard kidnapping, the victim is treated like precious cargo because they represent the money. But with Nancy Guthrie, we see blood at the scene and a lack of communication. This suggests that the plan to use Nancy Guthrie for financial gain went south very quickly. One of the most profound insights Dr. Brucato offers regarding Nancy Guthrie is the waiter and the chef theory. When we watch the footage of the man at the door, we see someone who appears to be a waiter, an underling or a hired hand who is following orders. This individual is not particularly bright. He made amateur mistakes. His holster didn't match his firearm, and he used a clump of shrubbery to hide from the camera in a way that looked foolish. But behind this man is the chef, the mastermind. This is the person who knew Nancy Guthrie or knew of her family's status. The chef is the one who realized that Nancy Guthrie was the perfect target to exert pressure or demand money. This mastermind is likely someone living a double life, someone who might even appear pro-social or kind to Nancy Guthrie in public, but who harbored a dark, calculated motive to eliminate her. To find Nancy Guthrie, We must find the connection between the waiter on the camera and the chef pulling the strings. Dr. Brucato points out that the man who took Nancy Guthrie displayed a psychopathic character structure. Most criminals, even experienced ones, show signs of physiological stress. They flinch, they look around, they show nerves. But the man seen taking Nancy Guthrie was way too cool under pressure. He was unafraid. This type of individual usually has a long history of criminal behavior. He didn't just wake up one day and decide to abduct Nancy Guthrie. He has likely been in trouble with the law before. Dr. Brucato believes the key to finding Nancy Guthrie lies in talking to people on the outskirts of society. Those in local jails or those who have had nasty run-ins with a grudge-holding person. Someone recognizes that walk. Someone recognizes the way that man moved while he held Nancy Guthrie. As we reach day 76, we have to address the most painful part of Dr. Brucato's analysis. He introduces the concept of elimination murder. This is when a victim is killed because they are an impediment. They know too much, or they saw something they shouldn't have. If Nancy Guthrie recognized her abductor, she became a liability. Statistically, Dr. Brucato warns that if Nancy Guthrie was killed, the chances of finding her intact are very low. Offenders of this psychopathic type are acutely aware of how DNA and forensic evidence work in 2026. They take extreme steps to ensure no trace of Nancy Guthrie remains. This is a heartbreaking reality for the family of Nancy Guthrie, but it explains why, despite massive search efforts, there has been no sign of her. There has been much discussion about the ransom notes received regarding Nancy Guthrie. One note allegedly claimed, "We didn't know how weak her heart was." Dr. Brucato finds this fascinating because it is bad writing for a hardened criminal. If the note is real, it suggests that the person who took Nancy Guthrie might actually have a small modicum of human feeling, or perhaps they are trying to distance themselves from a murder charge by making it look like an accidental death due to health issues. However, if these notes are fake, they are likely the work of opportunistic sadists who are using the Nancy Guthrie tragedy for their own sick amusement or to extort money from the family. Dr. Brucato believes that if the mastermind knew Nancy Guthrie or her daughter Savannah personally, the notes might be a way to needle the family and stay in the public eye. The search for Nancy Guthrie is not over. Dr. Brucato is confident that this case will be solved, but it won't be like a 30-minute TV show. It will be solved through meticulous DNA testing, possibly genetic genealogy, and by catching the underling who will eventually lead the police to the center of the spiderweb. We must keep the name Nancy Guthrie in the headlines. We must keep talking about the 92% probability that the suspect is someone known to the community. Nancy Guthrie was a mother, a friend, and a vulnerable member of our society. We owe it to Nancy Guthrie to use every tool at our disposal, science, statistics, and public awareness, to bring this case to its conclusion. Thank you for supporting this investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Every share, every view, and every subscription helps keep the pressure on. We will not stop until we have the truth for Nancy Guthrie. Stay tuned for more updates as we continue to track the evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case. I'm heading back to Arizona soon to follow up on new leads regarding Nancy Guthrie's property and the individuals who had access to her home. We are getting closer.